All right, so we are going to do a mathematical proof, and we are going to work on what's called a two-column proof today. So we are going to, and this is going to be something you have to do for geometry. So what we're going to do, it's kind of like explaining in words what you're doing mathematically. So we're just, oops, my arm just got in the way. So we are justifying the steps, okay? And we're going to use these properties that I have listed here, and this is, it should be in your notebook, in your binder if you have it. If you don't have it, you probably just want to get out a piece of paper right now and just write these down, because these words along the side here are going to be the words that you're going to use in your homework tonight, okay? So these are the words that you've kind of already talked. So addition property of equality is saying, let's start with that one, that if A equals B, then A plus X equals B plus X. So we are saying that if you add the same thing to both sides, then that's the addition property of equality. So it doesn't matter what I add, that's why I'm using an X, because it can be absolutely anything, but if I add something to both sides, then it's called the addition property of equality. And along those lines, you have the subtraction property of equality. So if I have A plus, or A equals B, then A minus X would also equal B minus X. Because if you subtract something, as long as you do it from both sides, then those somethings are still equal. Okay, so now you kind of follow along. The multiplication property of equality is if I times by both sides, as long as I do it to both sides, then it's equal. The division property of equality, and they are using C, sorry, so I'm gonna say X, because I've been using X this whole time, I apologize. So as long as X doesn't equal 0, you can divide by both sides, okay? The reflexive property of equality is saying if A equals B, then B equals X. What am I doing? Good morning to me. Sorry, this is first thing in the morning. Then B equals A. So if I get an answer, like how we would use this in our class, if I get an answer like 3 equals X, then I can also say that X equals 3. It doesn't matter what side of the equal sign something is on, it's still equal. Okay, and then you have your symmetric property of, sorry, somebody just came in my room and I've got to get him something quick. And I really don't want to start this. So there, I just, hit print. Okay, sorry. So now the thing about the reflexive and the symmetric, and that's, we're just going to use the symmetric property. They are basically the same thing, okay? And so some teachers use the word reflexive, some people use the word, use the word symmetric, but that is the same property, okay? Transitive is saying, now I'm gonna use highlighters so you can see this. If A equals B, right, and B equals C, then doesn't A have to equal C? Okay, because you're basically kind of doing, and I know you guys did this in pre-algebra, you're basically doing substitution. So like if I said A equals 3 and 3 equals B, so if A equals 3 and B equals 3, then don't A and B have to equal each other? Okay, so then you have the substitution property of inequality. So you're going to actually substitute in. So if I know that A equals B and B equals 5, then I can say A equals 5. And we probably, this one is not, we're not going to use this one as much in what we're doing tonight, but I'm just kind of giving that to you. So you're going to take whatever B is and you're going to substitute it in there. So we're going to use substitution. That one is one we're not going to use as much, but it's one of the properties that you need to know. And then finally, the distributive property is one that we've been doing. I'll do the official one. Then you have AB plus AC. So you multiply that into both of them. So like if this was a 5, then you would have 5x plus 10. So you've been doing this property. That one is not one that is new to you. Okay? All right, so let me show you, and this again is in your notes. Okay, and so what you're going to do is you're going to look at these problems. I'm going to do this first one for you. So you're going to look at the problem. They're saying that this is what you have, and then they change it to this. And they want to know what property you used. Wait a minute. That should be a positive 3. Yes, because you can't change that sign. So what property did I use? Well, didn't I multiply in by the 5? So this is the distributive property. Okay. So on the next one, I have x equals 5 and 5 equals x. So if I go back up here, that was the one I said that could be reflexive or symmetric, but we're going to use the word symmetric because it could be on either side. Okay. And then on the next one, it's saying if 2x, so this is what my if is, and x equals 4, then 2 times 4 equals y. So if I look here, the only thing that I changed was where this x is, I changed it to a 4, and that's because I know x equals 4. So what property do you substitute in for something that you already know? It's called substitution. Okay, and that's why because right now we're solving equations, and so we aren't going to do substitution very much on this assignment, but we will in the future. And then if I look at the next one, so this is my if, and then this is my then. So what did I do? Well, to me, it looks like I used a little math and I added 5 to both sides, which is legal. And that's where I'm saying the addition property, because I added something to both sides. So this is called the addition property. Okay. All right, so I'm going to show you this first one. So what you're going to do, you're trying to prove that x equals a negative 18. So you're going to do the first step. I'm going to multiply in by 5. So negative 5x minus 20 equals 70. And then I have to say what step I used. I used the distributive property. Okay. And then I'm going to, and we've been working on these, so if you want, a lot of the kids in class are going to want to put like a double line here, which is totally fine. Okay, so now I'm going to add 20 to both sides. So I end up getting a negative 5x equals 90, right? And that's the addition property of equality. You can add something to both sides. And then I'm going to take my next step and I'm going to divide by negative 5, divide both sides by negative 5. So that would be x equals a negative 18, which is the division property because I'm dividing from each side. Yes? So those are my steps. Okay, and I just proved that it equals a negative 18. Okay, so I would like you to try, well, actually, we'll do number 6 together. You could, and then I'll have you pause it and try number 7. Okay, so on number 6, this is the reason why we're kind of doing this. So if I look at this, these are on the same side. So I'm going to combine them. I'm going to combine like terms. And so I would have 8x minus 7 equals 9. And if you want to put the line down the middle to remind yourself that you're adding. Okay, now this is where we're going to have a lot of discussion. So I know, if I come over here to the side, I know 5x plus 3x, right, equals 8x because I'm simplifying on that side. So some people call this simplifying. Some people, I just like to call it what it is. I combine like terms. That's just what I'm going to say. I'm combining. And if you don't want to write all that, you could just say I'm combining, okay? So then I'm going to take, and what's my next step? I would add 7 to both sides. So I get 8x equals 16. So that would be my addition property because I added to both sides. And then my last step, I'm multiplying by 8, so I can legally divide both sides by 8, and x equals 2. So that's my division property. And you have to list it. And if I look at my original problem, it was right. Okay, so we're going to try this again where you do this and you hit pause. So I would like you to try this question and hit pause, and then we'll go over it. Pause. All right, so order does not matter on this. I like to get rid of my parentheses first. So that would give me 2x minus 6 plus 4x equals 10x plus 6. And what did I do? I did the distributive property. Okay, now I like to always get my like terms together on one side. So this is going to be 6x minus 6 equals 10x plus 6. So I just combined like terms. Okay, then now from here, you can do a lot of different things. I personally always move my letters to the left, and that's going to make more sense when we get into inequalities. So I always minus 10x, and so that's going to be a negative 4x minus 6 equals 6, and that was the subtraction property. But you could have dealt with the numbers first, and so then you could have added 6 and added 6, so that would have been the addition property, and so those two are interchangeable. You could have done one of them, so you might not have the same answers as me, so that would have been a negative 4x plus equals 12, and then, but your last step is going to be the same. You're going to divide both sides by a negative 4, and so you get x equals a negative 3, which is what was up here, and that was the division property. Okay, so what you're going to do is you are going to watch these, and then the worksheet, the assignment is in the classwork section. Remember, if you're having trouble finding anything, please ask me.